CEATEC's Technology Tuesday webinars. I'm Nicole Testa Boston, the Deputy Director at CEATEC, and we're very excited to have this case study be presented today on streamlining, commissioning, and closeout for facilities management and integration. Barton Malow, Tekla, and Vela Systems received the 2009 SETI Award at our CEATEC conference last month in Austin, Texas, for the work that was done on this project, and we wanted to share more details of the project with all of you. With that, I want to go ahead and introduce our panel. Corrine Ambler joined the Barton Malow company family as a full-time employee in July 2007 after completing a successful academic career earning a Bachelor of Architectural Engineering degree at the Pennsylvania State University. She has had the opportunity to work on a complex higher education science facility as well as an intricate renovation and addition to a major healthcare facility. Corrine successfully passed the LEED exam in March 2009 to earn LEED accredited professional certification. Beyond Corrine's innovative efforts streamlining Barton Malow's project management activities with the utilization of integrated BIM technologies, she also serves as the recruiting coordinator for the Maryland office and as a guest lecturer at the Pennsylvania State University. Corrine's energetic ways will allow her to advance Barton Malow's technology efforts on many future projects and ultimately differentiate Barton Malow from its competitors. Brian Larson is currently the project manager on the University of Virginia South Lawn project. This 116,000 square foot facility is the newest academic building on campus, serving the university's College of Arts and Sciences, and has been built utilizing an extensive BIM effort, including 3D coordination and detailing, as well as material management and tracking. Joining Barton Malow in 2007, Brian holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Construction Engineering from Purdue. He is LEED accredited professional, a member of Barton Malow's corporate BIM committee, and helped in the development of the Associated General Contractors BIM 101 training course. Josh Connor is co-founder and vice president of Vela Systems, a field software provider for architects, engineers, contractors, and owners. Vela Systems users work on tablet PCs to access construction documents and complete QA/QC inspections, field reports, work lists, punch lists, updated BIM, and conduct other critical job site activities. From bootstrap beginnings in 2005, Vela now has hundreds of successful deployments on 4 continents and has appeared on the cover of Engineering News Record for its pioneering work in connecting field information to building information models. Before Vela Systems, Josh was the first marketing employee at Imptoris, Inc., a web-based software provider. During his tenure, Imptoris grew from 1 to 12 products, from 20 to 200 employees, and from 1 to 100 customers, including Motorola, GlaxoSmithKline, and Vodafone. Josh received a Bachelor of Science degree with honors from Brown University and an MBA from MIT, and is a recipient of the prestigious Franz Edelman Award for Technology Innovation. And our last speaker today is Andy Dickey, who is currently the business manager for the construction group in North America for Tekla. Andy's focus is on product development for construction managers and BIM-enabled project management implementations for Tekla Structures customers. In addition to his construction management activities, Andy has extensive experience in cast-in-place concrete construction and consults with Tekla's concrete group on product development and implementation. Andy has worked as a rebar detailer, concrete estimator, project and business manager with a heavy focus on information technologies at various firms throughout the U.S. Thank you to all of you for joining us today, and at this point I want to turn it over to Corrine.
Thanks, Nicole. So we're going to go through what our view of BIM is at Barton Malow, and then go through the Maryland General case study, which was the winner of the SETI Award. And then we'll go over our technology usage with Vela and Tekla, and then open it up for questions. So I'm going to turn it over to Brian Larson.
Thank you, Corinne. Just a little bit about Barton Malow. Actually, about myself. Like Nicole said, project manager with the company working on the South Lawn project. So who is Barton Malow? We're headquartered in Southfield, Michigan. We have 13 regional offices concentrated in Virginia, Maryland, Georgia, Florida, Ohio, Illinois, and Arizona. We're ISO 9001 certified, and we do all kinds of delivery methods from construction management, general contracting, design build, program management, and we have our self-perform rigging, concrete, and interiors. The thing about BIM at Barton Malow and all the technology that we implement, we have a vision. We want to use BIM efficiently in our day-to-day processes to maximize productivity. We're not a company that has a specialized BIM department. We don't have a specialized technology group. We give this to our engineers, to our project managers in the field, and make them integrate it with the existing processes they have. And this gives us the increased productivity, and it makes sure that we're continuously implementing this technology efficiently. We focus on identifying project-specific risks, adding value to the client, and creating a collaborative environment. The important thing about BIM at Barton Malow is that we view it more than just class detection. 3D coordination is very important to us, and it gives a lot of value to the projects that we do, but it's not just about class detection. We believe it's just another tool to give a better understanding to us, the owner, and the designer. And also, we believe it can be integrated with other processes and other methods. So, the definition of BIM, if you look up the academic definition of BIM, it's building information modeling. And the key with this is that it's more than 3D. It's intelligent objects. And our goal is to utilize that information with the objects. So the BIM process that we see, first, design. We have architectural models and consultant models. That's the creation step. The next is analysis, and this is where we come in the construction side. We'll do an analysis of the model and the information in that model at pre-construction. And then the next phase is detailing. We turn over those design team models to the subcontractors who put in the detailed level information and make it ready for fabrication. And finally, we do our construction analysis. So what are some of the common problems and risks we see in the construction industry? If we ask a bunch of people, they'd name things like schedule, closeout, inspections logs, commissioning status, all these things we have to do on the construction side. We have issues, we have risks, we have problems with these things. There are multiple databases, lists, and logs. Now, we use a bunch of different programs to manage those lists and databases. And they don't always integrate. We have Office, we have Excel, we have Prolog, we have Primavera SureTrack, we have P6, we have SAP for accounting. The problem is these software packages don't always talk to each other, yet they overlap in what they do. So without some way to integrate these things, we have a couple of problems. We have roadblocks and productivity losses where data is in one place, but it needs to be integrated with somewhere else. And finally, we get uncoordinated design, uncoordinated construction, and just bad construction. We believe BIM can solve this. So by serving as a centralized database with a visualized element, we can put in deficiency lists, we can put in punch lists, we can view material status, we can view schedule, and we can view an estimate. These are the databases that we already have, but BIM centralizes that information and allows us to leverage that information into a way we can analyze better. It's a better communication tool for us. So the thing I've talked about a little in the process is how we view model creation versus model analysis. We really need to allow for technology interoperability because in those model creation steps, we understand that there are a bunch of different programs that need to talk together. We have components for the designers. We have components for the structural detailers and the structural engineers. We have MEP steps and we have enclosure detailing, and they all have their own program. And to do our coordination and to merge those into one central database, we need to analyze, and that's where Tekla and Vela come in. So when we're looking at what we do in the field, I go back to when I said we want to do this efficiently. We want to look at this as just another part of our daily lives. So how can we change our daily processes? How can we understand what we want to do on a building? Well, a lot of things come into play. The project factors. We actually look at the size of the project and its complexity and building type. Some of those things dictate the uses of BIM and technology that we're going to do. Also, we look at the technology cost and benefit. We can't say that we're going to do everything possible on every project. Some things have benefits to one project and some have benefits to other. If we look at a stadium has a lot of structural components and a big risk with structural. Where hospitals, a lot of it is MEP systems and phasing and tie-in with other things. So we use two different applications of BIM to reduce those project-specific risks. So some of the actual applications that we're using and what we're implementing, like I said, we're integrating with all those databases. So here's what we're doing. First of all, estimating. We have problems with inefficient takeoffs, so we're using BIM to organize the model and link our estimates to pieces in the model. We're also doing coordination. So obviously BIM is a 3D coordination tool, and like I said, we view that as very important. We view BIM as more than coordination, but coordination is something that we have a lot of experience in, and we're doing it on most of our projects. Scheduling. Like I said, Primavera, integration with that, visualizing the sequence is very important to us. The way we communicate schedules to our subcontractors and to our owners, just with bar charts and maybe some drawn-up plans, is not very efficient. So we also see scheduling and linking those model objects to the schedule as very important and a way for us to move forward. Material tracking. This is like the detailed schedule component. So we take pieces in the model, and now instead of grouping sets of those pieces with the scheduled task, we actually break it down into individual piece by piece, and we can track deliveries, and we can quickly understand and analyze which pieces aren't here when they need to be here. It helps us manage complexity. If we have thousands of individual pieces, we can't always view what's missing from the logs. Color coding the models really helps us out. Change management. Again, it goes back to that whole philosophy of using the model to visualize information. When we get a change, we can communicate it using the model by highlighting those changed objects. We can also do quantity takeoffs. Testing and inspection tracking. We have a lot of things, model components, concrete, rebar, steel connections that we need to test and we need to inspect. So it makes sense to extend some of those applications we're already doing, such as materials tracking, and instead of using materials data, whether it got on site, put that testing information into the model, and then use the existing process of color coding to visualize that information. The superintendent daily reports. Now this isn't just the BIM stuff. This is actually moving into the tablet PCs, which Corinne will be talking about, and using it to log that information in the field. Quality control. The same thing here as logging superintendent reports. We can log issues, we can log deficiencies at the point they occur. We want to avoid our superintendents carrying around sheets of paper that may be lost. We want to make a centralized database when they see an issue. And the same thing with punch lists. We also extend that deficiency list, give the tablets to the architect, give them to the owner, and make everybody go out in the field and do this. Commissioning. Again, going on the same process, linking another set of information to the model, and this is what Corinne will be talking about in just a few minutes. Electronic closeout. Now we're linking the actual documents that go with those model objects so they're accessible in the model and in the field. And finally, facilities management. Turning that commissioning data over, turning that closeout information over to the owner so that they can integrate it and change their process to make themselves more efficient in managing the facility we've just built. And with that said, I'll turn it over.
Thanks, Ryan. So I hope everyone got a good understanding of how we're trying to use BIM from cradle to grave, from estimating all the way through facilities management. So as Nicole said earlier, I'm a project engineer with Barton Mallow Company. So at Maryland General, we really focus on the tail end of construction, and we use BIM for commissioning, turnover, and facilities management. So the central care expansion is essentially an addition that put on 3 floors on top of an existing area and then filled in an entire courtyard. So with this, the hospital gained about 100,000 more square feet of really sophisticated spaces, operating rooms, ICUs, pharmacies, labs, and we got pretty intimate with them as we were trying to hook into existing utilities such as steam and condensate and condensed water. And we found out that through their processes, they weren't really optimizing life cycles, their warranty information wasn't being accessed, and not all of their equipment was inventoried. So from there, we stepped into creating a central database that contained all this information that we produce during construction and then usually gets lost in the end and isn't utilized by the owner. So the solution that we came up with was, the centralized database that's also linked to the model. So what we did was we streamlined all of our closeout processes on the construction side and then forced all that information through for facilities management. We provided an accurate as-built. The owner had an accurate inventory list of all equipment before substantial completion, and everything was electronic in closeout documentation so that it could be easily accessed and then altered as items changed throughout the life cycle of the building. So our first tool that we really introduced was the tablet PC. It's rugged, weatherproof, 3 pounds. It has a lot of different tools on it, an integrated barcode RFID scanner, camera, voice recorder, and it's a full-blown PC, so it actually has some more RAM than my regular laptop does. When we introduced this, we found that our superintendents started using this for more than just BIM. They started using it for quality control, daily tasks, punch list generation, safety documentation, just as their everyday tablet PC out in the field. So this kind of eliminated the number of pockets they needed and the number of lost little pieces of paper or corners of cardboard boxes where items get written on and then they're kind of lost forever if they don't make it out of your pocket at the end of the day. So the real reason, though, why we introduced the tablets was for commissioning electronic closeout and then to be used by the owner for preventive maintenance documentation. So as Brian said earlier, through the commissioning process, you have a lot of testing and inspections. A lot of times you end up with binders and binders of information and multiple sheets that are signed by all different people. You end up highlighting plans that are only accessible in the trailer to test all your inspections tracking. And it ends up being kind of like a stagnant set of just paper that isn't always utilized to the fullest ability. So what we did was we associated all of the equipment that the owner was going to need to maintain throughout the life cycle of the building. We put the barcode in a really accessible place, so on ceiling grid for VAVs, so it was still easily scanned, on disconnects for pumps. And we made the barcode intelligent as well, so that the owner would know whether it was a piece of facilities management equipment or clinical equipment, what type of equipment it was, a VAV, a chiller, air monitoring device. And then they've gone through multiple renovations in the last 50 years. So, our new renovation is central care, and then they could build upon this system with their ENT, their central expansion, and their north expansion, and then also the number associated with the piece of equipment. So throughout the construction process, we focused on leveraging data for 3 of the 5 things that we ended up turning over to the owner. So equipment attributes, startup information, and then commissioning information. So for the equipment attributes, we leveraged the equipment name, location, barcode, model number, and serial number from the field using Vela systems on our tablet PCs, and then pushed all of that information to the model in Tekla. So what we did here is everything that you see in Vela over here in this screenshot is what we use in our tablet PC, and we pushed all that information right into Tekla so that we were really increasing the intelligence and building information in the actual model. We did this for commissioning too. We set up a predefined phases and then tracked them throughout the process just with a simple scan of a barcode. And the great thing about that was we could track the step of each component in a system. So we were able to see that, this area of VAVs has been balanced and tested, this area has just been started up, and this area has been accepted by the owner. So that way we could track when all the components were ready for a system to be turned over. So we took it one step further, and we took all of our closeout documentation, O&M, startup reports, all of our inspections and warranties, testing and balancing reports, and we dropped these items into a folder in Vela systems that produced a file that mapped where all of these documents were located. So with a simple scan of a barcode, you can pull up these documents on your tablet PC, or you can just right-click on your VAV box and pull them up as well. So the great thing about this system is that now the owner and the construction team can access the database just about anywhere, whether you're in the field, whether you're in the office, whether you're in Tekla, or whether you're in Vela. And the binding force is the actual barcode between what's in the field and, its twin in the model. So what we use during construction to make us more efficient, now the owner can use just as another deliverable for the facility. So just like we turn over a pump and they use it, they're going to use their tablet for the life cycle of the building as well. So now that the building's been turned over, a lot of times what happens is that you get binders and binders of information that's kind of hard to sort through, and paper drawings that someone might have ate their lunch on. So here we decided to take it to the next level and make sure that everything in the model was actually how it was built, and now all the information is in the model as well. So now during the facilities management portion, they can access all the manufacturer information, all the warranty and service information on an ongoing basis. And this is also easily altered as things change throughout the life cycle of the building. So you can see here we have a pump. We have all the information here. The tablets will have wireless access points throughout the hospital, so they will actually be able to pull up websites from the manufacturer information, as well as warranty and service information. So whatever contractor it was, any kind of other information and contact information. So throughout the process, we saw that the hospital did 3 different things on a continuous basis. They added or replaced equipment. They had maintenance work orders or service calls. So this new system really focuses on streamlining it and eliminating a lot of steps. So they're currently, when they add or replace equipment, they have a person that's been at the hospital forever that may be like 60 years old, and he knows where every valve is, he knows where every pump is, and in order to do a true shutdown, you have to contact this person. A lot of times the equipment information isn't always retrieved, and you end up with a lot of information that's not in your system and then can't be easily searched. So the new proposed solution provides all equipment in the same database, and all of this information is already linked. So you don't need to worry about any kind of binders or whose office it's in if they're not there for that day. And then during the asset management process for work orders, now instead of assigning and distributing on the 1st of every month all your work orders for the month and having your staff go through and perform maintenance, they have questions about whether it's the right filter or how they actually access the piece of equipment, and the guy that knows everything about the system isn't there that day, or the binder can't be found, or the information isn't in your FM software. Eventually the repair might be completed or incomplete, and say it's complete. The survey service might be filled out, and it takes a month or 2 just to get entered into the software. Using the new system, maintenance orders can be pre-assigned. All service surveys are filled out right on the spot, so they're easily tracked, and all the information is right at your fingertips to access while you're doing the actual work order. So this is the same for a service call, except a lot of times during service calls you don't always look at the warranty expiration, so your piece of equipment might be under warranty right now. A lot of times with very sophisticated pieces of equipment, they have a service contract So if you have, your staff performing service on a piece of equipment and a service contract, you're double paying on that piece of equipment. So this helps you to understand, what warranty dates are and what service contracts. And then fill out your checklist so that you have a historical database when Joint Commission comes through or when a warranty actually has to be called in. So I guess what's the real cost savings here? After using this system for about 2 months, the hospital is projected to save about $23,000 in man hours, which is an annual savings of about $176,000. So that's a lot of man hours that they can now use to do preventive maintenance instead of fight fires on a continuous basis. You also have the ability to prevent catastrophic failures because all of your equipment is inventoried and has preventive maintenance work orders associated with them. So this really happened during our first month of construction. The Loctite 155 and the chiller bearings broke down and clogged all the oil filters. So this is right in the middle of summer, so we had to put up temporary cooling for the entire hospital, and what would have been a $15,000 fix if it had been done within the 10 years instead of waiting until breakdown in year 15, now costs about $120,000. So the system that we implemented would have been paid for at least twice for that amount. In addition to that, utility costs and replacement cost savings are gained, life cycles are optimized, and efficiencies increased. We eliminate a lot of data entry, which saves a lot of staff hours, and it also creates a more historical database. Instead of having someone type in what they didn't actually perform, you're having the person that performed it, actually enter the data, which makes it a lot more accurate. So at the end of the day, the hospital knows that this is a huge return on investment and that this is a tool that they can no longer afford not to have. So this wouldn't have been possible without Vela and Tekla. So they're going to go through a little bit about both of their systems. So I'm going to turn it over to Josh Canner.
Thanks, Corey. So Nicole did a great job of introducing all of us at the beginning, so I think I'll skip past the speaker bio other than to say that I'm one of the 2 founders of Vela. My focus is more on the marketing side, and there's construction managers with decades of experience who are the other founders of Vela. Vela is really all about going out into the field and being able to use technologies like either the tablet PCs there you see in the field or some of these new generations of mobile devices that you read about all the time to be able to do things like enable a quality program out on the job site, to be able to do, as Corey and the Bart Mallow team are talking about in this webinar, connect BIM to construction and then handover, and then ultimately to improve field productivity and accelerate the schedule of what you're doing on the job site by automating information and documents out at the point of construction. That's really what Corey and the team have been talking about, going back to the beginning with some of Brian's examples around field superintendents with daily reports and quality control and photos. If you look out there in the industry, there are so many different technologies in other industries that are now out there at the point of where the work is done. Very basic examples include everything from package delivery, right? When's the last time you got a package at your house or at your place of work and you had to sign on a piece of paper? When's the last time you delivered a rental car and you actually had to sign on a piece of paper? Everything's done with mobile technologies today in pretty much every industry except for construction. So Vela Systems from the beginnings has really been all about bringing software to leverage the power of mobility for construction out on the job site. What we see is a huge opportunity, tremendous opportunity, working with great partners like Tekla and with great visionary customers like Bart Mallow to be able to extend data and documents beyond 2D into BIM and leverage the really strong power of the database, the power of the information in the building information model out into the job site for specific activities in the field. Just like Corey was showing before, it's not just about bringing the visual model. It's not just about bringing the three-dimensional representation of the pump. It's about bringing all the metadata from the pump, from the field back into the model so that then as a structured set of information, a structured set of data, it can then go to the next phase. It can go into handover, go into operations, all by giving guys on the job site technologies that make their work easier. So a lot of people ask, how does it work? So there's, on the bottom right, all different kinds of computers you may have in the back office. You may have some laptops there. You may have some desktops. Vela Systems works on those computers. And then if you push the button, Corey, you'll see it'll animate, and you'll see a document flying around. That's documents and data going from those back office computers up to a server, out to the field, out to these mobile tablet PCs, as Corey and Brian had showed, synchronizing up with the server. And then you can see those little documents there everywhere. It shows that it's tying everything together. Vela is really all about connecting the back office teams and the field teams around these specific field processes like commissioning, like handover. And then up at the server level, you'll see that there's a little, yellow bar there connecting Tekla and Vela Systems. There's a whole set of pre-built, and I put emphasis on that, pre-built, out-of-the-box adapters that connect Tekla and Vela Systems so that you can be running Tekla there in your office. You could be running Tekla wherever you may be, and you can connect over the Internet up to the Vela Systems server and synchronize both data as well as documents. So Vela Systems, and its role in this project, is facilitating the commissioning out in the field, like Corey was showing you, and also doing the job of connecting up the documents and maintaining those links so that when someone's out in the field, whether it's Corey or a field superintendent or a commissioning agent, they can access not only the data but also the documents that are relevant to that piece of equipment by being in Vela Systems, scanning either a barcode, as you can see at the bottom, or even just manually navigating to the piece that they're interested in. But barcodes are a great time saver, as Corey and the team have attested to. And then they're able to access that information in the field. So that's the way the technology works. I think it's really useful in particularly this new area of bringing BIM through construction into handover. As just my last slide here to show the how the whole process fits together. So you've got here design, pre-construction, construction, commissioning, and handover into facilities management. And then as you advance the slide, Corey, you'll see the pieces come in. You've got an authoring model where you may be doing, you might think of that as architectural model, passing geometries and properties into Tekla, where in this case it's Tekla Construction Management, is being used to house both the architectural model as well as all the trades models. So you've got your structural models, your MEP models, your other models coming in. So all of it's coming together into Tekla. Now the question is, how do you bring information from the field? How do you bring information around what's actually happening on the job site and update that, as well as how do you bring documents and link that back to those specific objects? Because as the information comes from the authoring model, comes from the trades models, you then want to be able to continue to use it and share it. So Vela Systems does that. It connects documents, properties, and data into Tekla, and you can see the width of those bars. You're extending your use of Tekla, you're extending your use of Vela Systems through construction, through commissioning, actually into operations, into step 5. And if you click the button again, Corey, you'll see that the facilities management system data, the information, the structured data, can be pushed out of Vela Systems and then imported into the FM system. It can also be integrated with those FM systems based on customer need, customer demand. Last note on the slide, there's some talk in the industry now about the COBE data standard, which is the it's a data format exchange for actually some of these processes. Vela Systems just passed COBE and can provide that data in a COBE structured way, so that you can use any COBE-compliant FM system. Or, if you have a specific FM system like was used in this particular case, you can just format an export spreadsheet or export file, as was done with this case with the FM software here, and then import it. So what that does, that gives you a quick overview of who Vela is, how it works, and then this last slide here gives a visual depiction of how all the pieces fit together and how by using field software intimately tied with BIM, you can provide a solution that takes your model through construction, commissioning, and into operations. So with that, I'll turn it back to Corey to introduce Andy to talk about Tekla.
All right, so next we'll move on to the Tekla overview, which is the modeling software, and we'll have Andy Dickey introduce that.
Thanks, Corey. Just a bit of background on Tekla. Tekla markets and develops tools for building construction as well as infrastructure and energy for the global marketplace. We have nearly 500 employees. We have offices in 14 countries. We always bring this up simply because we In our larger markets like the United States, Japan, the UK, etc., all of our sales is done direct, and that has come out of a desire to want to connect those who develop the software within Tekla to make that binding as tight as we can between those who develop and our actual customers. We do have 30 worldwide partners, which are our resellers, and these typically are found in our smaller markets throughout the world, and these are very valued partners. Just advancing the slide here. This is usually a statistic that blows a lot of people away. Tekla was founded in 1966. At that time, we made punch card software for structural design, and we've been making software continuously since that time, and it's something we're very, very proud of. So we're one of the oldest continuously operating software companies in the world. So these 3 bullet points guide our every, let me just back up here. These 3 bullet points guide our every effort in Tekla today. The first bullet point being connected everywhere. Folks have a tendency to want to have their information anywhere all the time. We see this with smartphones. We see this with air cards. We see this with always connected tablet PCs, as Josh and his team have done such a great job of pushing that out into the industry. So we're always working to rise to that challenge, and our partnership with Vela Systems is just another indication of this. Another indication of why we like to partner so much is people, when they go to the local electronics store, they have an expectation. If I buy a gaming console, if I buy a DVD player, that it's most likely going to work with my television set. Now, while that's not always the case, another good example is you know, if I have an AT&T cell phone, I have an expectation that I can call a Verizon cell phone. And that expectation is growing within the construction industry and the tools we use in the construction industry every day. And then last but not least, the digital generation. As young people like Corey and like Brian are entering the construction industry, they have an expectation that they're going to be delivered the highest quality technological solutions they can be delivered, and every day Tekla is attempting to deliver that to them. So taking a look at building and construction, what are the focus areas that we have in the building and construction industry? Tekla Structures for Construction Management is part of our greater puzzle. Most people know Tekla for its structural authoring solutions, whether it be structural engineering, precast concrete, cast-in-place concrete, structural steel. Our construction management solution is a tool that was created specifically for general contractors and construction managers and functions as a place for them to bring together all of the project models, not just the structural model, whether it be from architectural design, BIM products, mechanical design, BIM products, mechanical detailing solutions. So all the models for the project in one place in a three-dimensional context, and also combining that information with the unstructured project information on the job. So what we see in the upper left-hand pane is the architectural design solution. In this case, for this project, it was Revit architecture. Here we see mechanical design and detailing. I believe the solution was CAD duct. We also see some electrical there in the background. Brought together with the highly detailed structural models from Tekla. Of course, we support other models from other structural modeling solutions, but we do like to see Tekla structural models in use, of course. And then bringing those together with the structured and unstructured information for the project. Here we see a Primavera schedule, O&M manuals, and other project information. So bringing all the project information together and giving our users the ability to manage the job in a three-dimensional context.
So with that, we'll open it up for questions and answers. I think that took a little less time than we had all expected, so I hope there's a lot of questions. Nicole, if you want to take over.
Sure. Thank you very much. That was very informative, and we do have a few questions. So the first question is, every construction site does not have wireless internet connections. What happens in such a case, and how does the data that is collected on the field get transferred to the server?
Well, Josh, I guess you can answer that one.
I'm happy to take it. Yeah, one of the key concepts behind the Vela system software is that there's two modes. One is online, and then another is offline. So the application has a mode that you can be working in where you're offline from the internet. It allows you to have your data and documents there using it in that offline mode. And then when you do have internet access, whether it's wirelessly or for a lot of our customers, they just go back into the job trailer and plug the computer in, you plug it into the wall and you get internet access. Then you can connect up and synchronize up with the server. So part of what our software does is allow people to work in that offline mode, have multiple people accessing data and documents, even doing things like marking them up, or adding information that then goes into the BIM model, and then or the BIM. I always hate saying BIM model because it's kind of redundant. But anyway, the BIM. And then synchronize it up to the server, and then at the synchronized server level, it will then tie back into Tekla. So Vela Systems is doing the job of making sure everybody's information gets together into one place, and then pushes it and pulls from the model there. If folks are interested in asking more detailed questions about that or seeing it in action, you can see my contact info right there on the screen. Happy to follow up.
Great, thanks. Another question relating to the tablet PCs. Someone wants to know if the tablet PCs are said to be including RFID readers instead of barcodes. This person just wonders if that was considered at Barton Malow, and the reasoning, I guess, because passive RFID tags are more durable and functional than barcodes. So
the tablet does have both a barcode scanner and an RFID scanner. We chose to stick with barcodes because we implemented this solution kind of later in the game, so the equipment wasn't experiencing any shipping and handling. It was all in place, and then the barcode was applied. We did use heat transfer stickers with heat transfer ink, as well as highly adhesive glue on the stickers. So even in a few of the exterior applications for like the air-cooled chiller, we were able to let the owner use just a barcode instead of the additional cost of an RFID.
Great, thank you. Someone wants to know what facility management system was used for this project.
So the hospital is currently using TISCOR's Metamizer, and throughout the last few months of construction, they've been in the process of updating to TISCOR's Facility Manager. So, as soon as the upgrade's complete, all of this data, they've already, verified that they'll be able to accept it. All of the data will be pushed over into it, and then eventually TISCOR will connect to Tekla through Tekla's Open API.
Kind of going along with that, Corey, do you know how the medical center is using the BIM information in their FM system?
I think they're still trying to get their feet wet, but they know that there's a lot of opportunity for them to use it. They're expecting to use it for quicker reporting with the Joint Commission, and also knowing where everything is. Right now, they're not totally sure how many VAV boxes they have, but to be able to know where it is, even within 2 ceiling tiles, but it's a lot closer in the model. It's probably more like a few inches. They're extremely happy just to know where everything is, and have that visualization, without having to pull out paper drawings with highlighters and all that good stuff.
Do you know how they are transferring the data to the facility management software? And I guess specifically, is anyone using any industry standards to collect the information?
No, we didn't use an industry standard, so we kind of used our central care expansion for Maryland General standards. So we sat down with the owner before we set up, all our user-specific attributes in both Tekla and Vela. So we sat down with them, figured out what they needed, what we needed. We figured out a way that would be most useful for them to organize the data, and we collected it all that way, and then we transferred it with that hierarchy and that structure through CSV files to the facility manager, and the document links through an XML file.
Great, thanks. Did you have a way of documenting the cost of accumulating the data and getting it entered into the database? I mean, it sounds like it might be a wash because they were otherwise doing it manually, but that's the question being asked.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, they're in the process of updating the existing facility, but as far as for the new addition, there's really no additional cost because as construction managers, we're entering this data anyway. So, you know, if we can enter the data in a format that is more easily accepted by the hospital, then, you know, they're our client. There's no reason why we shouldn't accommodate them so that, you know, this facility is functioning at optimal, you know, efficiencies and really, you know, lives to the true life cycle of the entire facility.
I would just chime in one thought on that, that the whole process today around commissioning and then the generation of the information for handover is so manual, so time-consuming, and so error-prone. It's a real pain in the neck for everybody. So what this does is it's just taking a process that you used to be doing on paper, and now you're doing it electronically so that you're capturing the information right because you're doing it out in the field, and then you're transferring it right because it's going electronically. So it's instead of thinking about this as data reentry, part of the beauty of this whole solution is you're just doing it electronically, kind of like they're doing in other industries. To go back to my analogy at the beginning, if you get it right the first time, you're not only saving time, you're actually also then improving the output and creating a better deliverable to the owner.
Great, thank you. These next two questions are similar, and they came in early in the presentation when, Brian, you were presenting, but they wanted to know what software you were showing. During the presentation, there was a specific window saying project org, and then another individual said what software is the model in. I'm assuming at this point that it was in Vela Systems, but can you confirm that?
The models are in Tekla. So Tekla is the viewer of the model. Does that answer the question?
I guess so.
So
we can't confirm that audibly, but yes, the software, yes, I think so. Can one of you comment on how manufacturers can provide their product data and submittals into the system?
Well, this is Andy with Tekla. Well, we do have several manufacturers who do supply objects for Tekla, but primarily the point of entry for a lot of the object information is on the authoring side. So the management solution that Bart Mallow uses and that my group is charged with delivering out into the marketplace, it takes in models from anywhere, so or virtually anywhere. And so a lot of times that product information is, in terms of the information embedded into the objects, comes across from the authoring application, whether it be, you know, Revit architecture, ArchiCAD, Bentley architecture, or other solutions. In terms of linking the unstructured information to the model objects, which in this case unstructured means like PDF documents, TIFFs, the various digital forms of documents floating around on the job, those are generally linked to the model objects by the construction manager. In this case, it happened to be Corey. So, and that's really how that sort of gets deployed or becomes existing on the job.
Facilities manager tablets.
You kind of faded out there.
The question is, will the FM workers on the hospital use Tekla on their tablets?
I think the question was, will the hospital use Tekla on their tablets? Is that, you kept breaking up, Nicole.
Why don't you just go ahead with that one, Corey, because I think
okay.
the poll may be fading.
So the hospital does have a Tekla license now, and they will be using it on their laptops and desktops. It's possible to use it on the tablets. However, we have found that it's not really that user-friendly to navigate through a model with a digitizer pen. So although it is possible, you know, a lot of times it's easier for someone that has a mouse to produce screenshots and, you know, JPEGs and stuff that then can be pushed out to the tablets that show the exact location, so that you don't have to be worrying about them trying to navigate with a pen that doesn't have a scroll wheel.
Yeah, I would just chime in to say that that's part of what the value proposition, part of what the benefit of using Vela is that you're actually using Tekla model data in Vela. You know, the systems, the equipment, that VAV box is coming from Tekla. In Vela, when you're in the field, it's a very simple interface for field guys to use. So they're actually using the model, but they're using it to do their job in the field in a very simple interface. So it's a little bit of a, yes, here's how. You know, yes, you are using Tekla. It's actually through a field-ready interface that lets you interact with the data and then update it.
Thank you. Are you able to connect easily to various document control systems, such as Smart Plan Foundation, and how does the system handle red lines?
I think there's two layers to that. One is the Vela layer, and then the other is the Tekla layer. I'll give a short answer, and then whoever's asking that question, if they are interested in more depth, I'd suggest they reach out to me or just email info@velasystems.com. So the short answer is we have integrated with multiple different document management systems, typically as part of larger CM systems, like we've integrated with the document management portion of Contract Manager, with Prolog, and some others. So I would just leave that at that, and we can talk about integration more in detail if you want. How do we handle red lines? That would also benefit from a demo, but the best way to describe it is that in Vela you can bring up documents and use our own markup technologies to do redlining of documents as a layer on top of that document. So in the field, it's equivalent to marking up a piece of paper, but doing it electronically, in that you're not editing the file. You're just creating a layer on top of it. And that allows you to have multiple users even working disconnected, as we talked before, because what will happen is their various markups will get synchronized together and associated with them as users and the times that they did it. So you know who did the various markups at what times, and you can bring it all together. Again, it'd be great to, if you're interested, we can show you a demo.
Yeah, and I would just add to that from those red lines that you produce, then you take them back into the model, and then, you know, Andy can elaborate more, but then you truly have, you know, an as-built model as opposed to a red line PDF.
Yep.
And definitely. So as Josh was describing, we can bring the red line documents. They're linked to the objects out in the field in Josh's document control system, if you will. They're also linked to the model objects as well, so you can view them that way. We also have redlining in our free model viewer. As far as integrating with document control systems, I think that, you know, I would hate to count Vela in that category simply because they do that and so much more. In terms of what is happening on the job site, we have an integration with them, and we have integrations with others. And certainly, same as with Josh, we are happy to have a demonstration of that. And we've got some other things coming in the pipeline in more of a structured way, rather than simply linking documents, but actually sort of creating documents or records, if you will, related to RFIs and things like that, with major solutions from within Tekla structures as well.
So clarifying that last point, someone's asking, does that mean that only the work order is being generated by the FM system? The location of the work order is illustrated by Tekla along with the attributes of the equipment being repaired or maintained? That was the question.
Well, for Tekla's part, we don't. In this case, we don't have any work order integration for this job. So.
Okay. Final question, please. What were the challenges of implementing BIM in training or new software? Were there any lessons learned or
I think that the
wisdom to be passed along?
The tablets are pretty easy to pick up. A lot of times you have some older people in the industry that don't necessarily like to type, and now they can just write, and their handwriting is transformed into text. So I think that was kind of a big plus. It is a pretty easy, Vela's a pretty easy system to pick up on. It has, big boxes that make it easy to use with a pen. And then Tekla is extremely easy to navigate through with their clip planes and the model organizer. It's really easy to find what you're looking for really quickly. And our superintendents have actually started to incorporate the usage of the model in all of our meetings. You know, we have a projector in our superintendent and project manager meetings so that we can actually see, you know, all the information that's been gathered and now pushed to the model, you know, the different heat maps of what's going on and what needs to be done, what's not done to better, you know, resolve conflicts before they become major issues.
The other thing I'd like to add with that is that when we're looking at software vendors and when we looked at Tekla and Vela, we looked at how far we could go once we trained some people in a process. So for Tekla, what we're doing is we're putting extra information with those model objects. When I was talking about our applications, I kept saying we're putting information with model objects. Well, for Tekla, that process is basically the same, whether it's commissioning data, schedule data, material tracking data, or something else. So once we train people in how to get information into the model and how to report and color code on that, they can do a bunch of applications. Like I said, they can track material status, they can link estimates, they can do all these different things using that same basic, simple process.
Yeah, and I would just add to what Brian said, you know, as a lesson learned, we didn't restrict anyone at all, any, you know, subcontractors or any of, you know, our project team members into what was possible and what wasn't possible. You know, we kind of just laid out a foundation and then let them run with it, and you'll be surprised at the kinds of things that people come up with from their past experience that, you know, you yourself would have never thought of.
Well, great. Thank you very much. I know we have come up on the end of our hour, and I did get some more questions in, but we've just run out of time. I'd encourage anyone that we didn't get to please contact any one of the panelists or contact me, and I will put you in touch with them if you didn't get their email addresses. And I just want to wish everyone a happy Tuesday and a good week, and I hope you'll join us next Tuesday. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Great, thanks, Nicole.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.